Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Mark and Macy. We took a bit of a 2-week hiatus for the holidays. That's what we're going to call that, right, Macy?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's our hiatus for the last 2 weeks. The last time we got together was right before New Year's. And so I'm Mark Rogers of Mark Rogers TV. This is Macy Golder. We do our show every Thursday night, and this is, I believe, our seventh edition. So we have all sorts of stuff going on, Macy, with the NFL. A lot of hirings and firings. It's that time of year. So what is near and dear to your heart, of course, are those New York football giants.
Yes, it definitely has been a crazy week in the NFL. With the Giants, Ben McAdoo seems like they're going to be the new head coach of the New York Giants. As a fan, I cannot say I'm thrilled about the hire. I think fans are either saying they'll give him a chance or they absolutely hate it. You look at Eli under McAdoo, and the stats show that Eli's played better under him, which I would still argue. But I just don't think McAdoo is the right fit for the Giants. I don't know if he'll be able to have that control over the locker room. Not that Coughlin's really had it the past couple of years, but I'm not sure how he's going to be able to handle all of the dynamics and the pressure that comes from being a head coach of a football team.
Is he going to have control over Odell Beckham Jr.? That's the question. Who's going to have control over that guy?
I mean, I would hope that they have worked together, being that he was the offensive coordinator and working so closely with Eli, and Eli and Odell seem to be pretty close, so maybe he can get Eli to mentor him and step up a bit, but I don't know. I don't know who's going to control Odell. Hopefully that was just a fluke of a thing, and we won't have to deal with that anymore.
I really think that it was. I was kind of kidding about the Odell Beckham thing because he's been a great guy. Other than that one incident in the big, situation that he had with the Carolina Panthers, he's been a good guy and he's been upstanding and so forth. I think that was a one-time deal. I think he learned his lesson. I think he's good, even though one of the two of us really got all over him and wanted to basically kick him off the team.
Yep, that was me.
That was you. That was you. And you also wanted Tom Coughlin gone. So you got your way there, but you're not necessarily sold on Ben McAdoo. They could have gotten somebody else, possibly. Who else is out there that you would have liked to have seen? Is there anybody that you were thinking about?
Well, I did hear that Chip Kelly was in the talks. I would not be too thrilled about that. And I heard Sean Payton was also in the talks, which I wouldn't mind that. Coughlin, yes, I did wish him a farewell. But now with McAdoo in, I'd almost take Coughlin back. And I feel bad for wishing, Coughlin a farewell because I feel like I'm responsible. But, I mean, we have to see how this all plays out. They could shock us. Who knows?
So let me get this straight. If Macy Golder is the owner, president of the New York Giants, she fires Tom Coughlin, and then 3 weeks later, or maybe not even that long, you're picking up the phone. Hey, Tom, we'd like to have you back. I made a mistake. Come on back.
Yeah, it would probably be something like that.
So we'll just have to wait and see. Eli statistically has played better. The results haven't been there. The defense is obviously not what it was. But in recent years, he's taking care of the football a little bit better. But I think the gunslinging Eli Manning is the way to go. I think that's the guy that you want.
Yeah, and I think the Giants need a coach with some guts to, make some crazy plays. You never see anything really crazy besides Odell's catches, which are just a catch. That's not a team doing something crazy. It seems there's no fire even in the locker room or between those guys. So I am glad to see that McAdoo is a younger guy, and maybe he can bring some type of fire and flame to get them excited. But really, it's all going to play out, and honestly, I can't predict what's going to happen. But with Coughlin, the biggest talk around the Philadelphia area was that the Eagles were very interested in him. And today they even released that they were even more interested in having Coughlin now that McAdoo, who they also interviewed, was with the Giants. So that to me kind of thought, well, why are the Eagles interested in a guy like Coughlin? What does he have? But today Coughlin backed out of the race and said he's not interested. And I look at it at two sides. I think, did he do it just to kind of take a stab at the Giants and say, watch out, I'm still here? Or was he really interested in still coaching?
I'm the one person here who would not have fired Tom Coughlin. So let's get this straight. But that said, if I was another team, I would not be touching Tom Coughlin. He's like 87 years old. How old is Tom Coughlin?
Tom Coughlin is 69 years
Is
old.
he only
He
69?
is, yes, but he will be the oldest coach, like hired ever.
Unless I can get a premier coach in his prime. If I can get on the college level, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, somebody like that, I can't think of a guy like that in the NFL that's in his prime, that's an elite coach. There's really not one right now. Bill Belichick, possibly. I'm going after the next bright mind. You know, I'm going after Belichick 15 years ago. I'm going after, you know, somebody like that when they're hot and they're 45, 50 years old. Somebody like that. Tom Coughlin, I think the time has passed, and I would question any team going after a guy like Tom Coughlin unless they think that, hey, they just need that push and they just need 3 years out of a guy that can win and win the whole thing, possibly, maybe. So your boy Chip Kelly's headed out to the West Coast to coach San Francisco.
Yeah, I think that honestly is a great hire. I think Chip Kelly going back out to the West Coast is it might. I mean, again, we don't know if Chip Kelly is made to be an NFL coach or just a college coach or both. You know, some guys have that luck. But being on the West Coast, he's a West Coast guy. The whole science that he believes in with the diets and the drinks and all that, the guys out in the West Coast, they already know what that's all about. They're already into that. So that's something that he wouldn't have to change. And most importantly, I think Colin Kaepernick can be a huge, huge, huge success under Chip Kelly.
Okay, I can buy some of that. I don't completely buy into the thought that if an organization's in Cleveland, it's this way because the people are like that. Or if it's in New York, it's this way because the people are like that. Or if it's on the West Coast, it's a West Coast organization because the people in the organization, especially the players, well, they're drafted from wherever. It's like when I hear the Green Bay Packers play well in cold weather because they're in Green Bay. Well, look at the roster. They're from Alabama and Georgia. It's just like any other NFL team. But so I'm not discounting exactly what you're saying, but I think maybe that's a little overblown.
I mean, I get it, but I don't. I just think it's a different way and a different lifestyle. I've known two people from the East Coast. One that is in the modeling world. You know, she's famous for it, so it's not like she's just a wannabe person. And actually a football coach from Penn State. And both of those two, not together, but they both went out to LA and the West Coast, and their change in lifestyle, their eating habits, just everything has kind of changed. Their mindset, they're just more relaxed and calm. So I think that can actually make a difference. You know, I know guys are from all over the place and drafted from whatever team, but I just think there's a different way of life out there.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I'm not going to argue that. I don't think there's any question about that. I work with all sorts of people from all over the country and all over the world, but mostly all over the country. And they have a lot of people from the West Coast or from the South have difficulty adjusting to the East Coast. I don't really notice it because I worked in the South for a few years. I'm from Ohio. I've worked on the East Coast now and lived here for a number of years. So I'm not a high intensity, typical East Coast type person, but I can deal with it. I'm okay in that environment. It doesn't stress me out. I can adapt, but a lot of people have that problem.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Until you start to travel, you don't realize how different just our country is, and the different lifestyles and the way we do everything is different. Yet we're all still one.
Yeah, most countries are like as big as a state
Hmm.
in the United States, so it's just a different dynamic here where we have different ways of life all over the country. Talking about different ways of life, what kind of different lifestyle would you have if you won Powerball?
If I won the Powerball, I was actually going to take all that money and run to like MTV or one of those stupid shows and have a show called Richer Than Kim because I would be richer than Kim Kardashian.
Technically,
Yeah,
did you look this up?
I would be. Um, no, I think that would be the fun thing to do. Do I think I would do it? No, realistically, being the sports person that I am, I would probably buy a sports team. Because to be an
Okay.
owner of a sports team, I think there would be nothing cooler than that.
Yeah, so Powerball was like 1,000,000 5 or 1,500,000,000, something like that, the last Powerball. I don't even know if anyone won. You
Yes,
know
someone
that?
in California did.
Somebody in California. Too bad. So you take the lump sum and you get like 1 billion,
Something like
and
that.
then
I'm not
taxes
really
carve
sure
into
how
it. You
much.
get like 600 million bucks. So um, you can buy enough of an NFL team to get started. So it's really a bad question to ask you who you would buy. You'd buy the Mets or the Giants.
Actually, I don't think I would
Oh, okay.
because I would still want to be able to like still go back and be a fan of that. If I were the reason why the Mets or the Giants failed as an owner, I wouldn't want to be responsible.
Okay, so but the alternative is that you select a team and you go out and purchase a team that's going to compete against the Mets or the Giants, and then you knock them out of the playoffs. You beat them in the World Series. It's a bit of a conflict.
But even if I didn't own those teams, they would maybe still get knocked out of the World Series or lose in the playoffs. So if I'm owning the other team, it will make the story that much cooler. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just think owning a sports team would be really cool, especially as a female. That would be pretty cool.
So if you could do anything in sports and money was not an object, that's what you would do.
Yeah, I think I would definitely own a sports team.
Okay. I would love to run the Cleveland Browns draft. That's what I would like to do. And what I've determined is that over the last, whatever, 10 years, I should have been time stamping like my videos. Maybe I could have done this on video so they were time stamped so nobody could argue with a piece of paper that these would have been my selections in the NFL draft. And I would go to the Cleveland Browns and I'd be able to present my case that here's who you selected the last 10 years. This is who I would have selected, better players. And I'm not really that smart, but almost anybody would have selected better players. So that would have been my little play on grabbing that job. I would love to run the draft for a year. I wouldn't want to be a GM for a long period of time because it's just a grind and they're on the phone all the time and they're texting and it's like a zillion hours a week. But yeah, I'd love to do it for one draft. Would be great.
I think that would be cool. I thought something else too with, football and the NFL that's still going crazy this week too is the Rams going back out to California. Now, the most interesting story, I followed it, but I didn't follow it. But I saw today that there is a communications director out, I think she's in California. She works for GoPro. And her name is Lara, Lara. Her middle initial is an M, and her last name starts with an S. So her Twitter handle that she has had since 2008 is Lara MS. Now, the Rams are out in LA. They want to buy that from her. Some people suggested she just changed it because she's going to get a million tweets, which she's been already getting. But other people are telling her, hold out, let the greedy NFL buy it from you.
Yes, I could care less about Twitter followers. It's nice to have some, and I would like to have more. But if you're going to compare Twitter followers to money, yes, I
Yeah.
hold out and I sell my Twitter handle to the Los Angeles Rams.
I think that was the coolest thing ever. So then, of course, today I'm on the computer looking to see if any type of sports team or something Twitter handles are available because they're valuable. But of course, there's nothing really out there.
Did her parents intentionally do this?
No, I don't think so because it was like I think she's married.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I think like the M is actually like her maiden name. But she's like, and not I don't want to say older woman, but she's older than I am. She's a developed female working out like in the world for GoPro and doing cool things with her life, and that just happened to be her thing. And honestly, the way it's spelled out, because capital letters don't matter on Twitter, it doesn't say LA Rams until you really, really look at it. And I was like, what is everyone making? Oh, gotcha. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was like, I don't want to say a highlight of my day, but an interesting story how one day your Twitter account can go from just your normal, 140 characters talking about your day to worth a ton of money.
So, in the exhaustive work we do to produce this show before we come on, Macy came up with talking about the Giants hiring Ben McAdoo, most likely, Chip Kelly going to San Francisco, Powerball talk, and this now Los Angeles Rams. Can you hear that? Is that coming over on the mic?
Just very faintly,
yes. Yes, that's Layla, my sister's dog. She's usually very good, but my sister's leaving, so she's throwing a little bit of a fit or just, doing her thing, just barking, saying goodbye. So I took Layla out twice today, so she's happy. Okay, so that's everything that Macy came up with. I came up with nothing except let's talk about Hugh Jackson, the new Cleveland Browns coach, but we don't have a whole lot to say there. I got to wait and see what this guy does because I don't think he's got much of a track record as a head coach. He was the Oakland Raiders head coach, and the organization has been such a mess. No coach has succeeded there forever. And he's most recently been with the Cincinnati Bengals. So there is a rumor out there, like we talked about, Macy, before we came on, that he doesn't want to work with Johnny Manziel, and he's saying, get rid of him. And he actually, I don't know if you heard this, canceled his flight to New York to interview with the Giants after he was offered the Browns head coaching job. So they must have given him something that he wanted.
Yeah, I guess so. I would have liked him as a head coach. I think that would have been good for the Giants, but I really am interested to see what happens with Manziel because for some reason I can't wrap my head around Manziel being in the NFL. I understand he has talent, but when you look at him off the field and for everything else, you just wonder, how does a guy like that still get a shot? And I'm just kind of waiting for someone to come and put him in his place, and I think this might finally be the time where Manziel actually gets put in his spot.
He does a pretty good job of pulling off a blonde wig, from what I hear.
Yeah, isn't that so bizarre? Like, just
It is
every
bizarre.
day, I just seem to find something weird about Johnny Manziel, and I just say, why or how is he still an NFL quarterback?
Well, it's only been 2 years, and he does have the talent to be an NFL quarterback if he's projected to be a decent player, not a great player. He's a little undersized, but he's got the arm strength. He's got all the measurements in terms of his game to be an NFL quarterback. Yes, he has screwed up for the last 2 years, but it's not like he's been doing this for 10 years. So I would expect, okay, this is the first team that he's screwed up, that most likely he's not coming back. They're done with him. There's going to be at least one more team and maybe two. I'm going to guess two more teams. Let's say he goes to another team and he does the same exact thing that he's done in Cleveland. There's going to be a third team that's going to give him a shot because that's what happens in the NFL and all professional sports is that talent supersedes wisdom sometimes. And so until he just proves to be a train wreck and it's never going to come around, I would expect him to get two more shots.
I think that's fair to say because, like you said, that is the NFL nowadays. Just when you see, like I saw not too long ago, that Johnny Manziel missed practice because of a quote-unquote concussion, but the truth finally came out, and it was because he was still drunk/hungover. So anybody else showing up to work like that, you're probably going to get in trouble. To be an NFL quarterback, which you're considered a role model when you play in the NFL. You're pretty much already given that stamp. That's just not okay.
Yeah, if you're a cornerback, you're a wide receiver, it's still not okay, and you still have to make meetings and go to practice. But you're kind of the de facto leader if you're the quarterback, so you're even supposed to be operating at a higher standard. This isn't exactly Peyton Manning kind of work ethic that we're seeing out of Johnny Manziel. So yeah, he's been entitled for a long time, and he continues to be. And maybe this will be a slap in the face that can correct him. He obviously has some other issues that are involved here with the drinking and so forth that is way beyond me to try to diagnose how somebody gets over that. So that's pretty serious too. So I'm going to stick up a little bit for Johnny right there. I was happy that the Browns, I wasn't necessarily happy that they drafted him, but he was projected to be like a top 5 or 10 pick. They actually traded the pick to Buffalo, picked up 2 draft picks. And the way it's looking right now, even though they picked up 2 first-rounders for 1, which turned out to be Sammy Watkins, who's a player, they drafted Justin Gilbert, who we don't even see on the field at cornerback, and Johnny Manziel. So the Browns made a good trade, but then they didn't pull off the draft picks to make it a good trade. So that's why I'm saying I would love to draft for the Cleveland Browns. That's just another example of why I would love to give it a shot. So Macy basically just lines us up with all the hardcore football stuff, and I'm the one who sometimes feels like talking about just whatever. But you got to lined up with all this coaching business. So I asked you about New Year's resolutions before we came on, but you don't believe in those, you don't do them. And I get that because I don't do it either. But I kind of like to kind of review where I'm at, what I'm doing professionally and in my life, and what I'd like to accomplish. And I do take time to do that at the beginning of the year.
I think it's a fair time of year to, like you said, review and maybe set goals. But I don't really believe in the whole like new year, new me, because why do I need to change? I'm not a huge New Year's person to begin with. New Year's resolutions, I think they're fake. I don't think you live them out. Most people go to the gym for the month of January, and once it's February and snowing, the gym is empty. And you're eating cookies and cakes and whatever junk food you have in your house because you're stuck in. So maybe like we should start New Year's resolutions in like April or May. I don't know. Maybe we can go outside, be more active, go to the gym, do more things. I don't know.
I think that it's much easier for me to exercise, when it's nice out, because I've got an option. I can go to the gym, but if I don't want to, I can go running, do other stuff. But if you really want to, you want to, and you need to get your butt in the gym and work out, even if there's 12 inches of snow outside.
But most of these people who are starting these resolutions don't have that drive and don't say, I have to go or I need to go. They just say, oh, it's snowing, I can't go.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. This is Mark and Macy. This is what we do every Thursday night. This is our show. We're going to have a YouTube channel here pretty soon. And you can catch Macy at Macy Golder on Twitter. Follow her there. And me at Mark Rogers TV. What do you say, Macy? We good to go for this week?
I think it sounds great. I think we covered everything in the NFL and everything that's been on my mind and that I've been hearing all week. I don't think there's anything we missed unless I'm crazy and miss something else.
The last thing I got to say about Powerball is what amazes me is that people get excited about $500 million. These people that make like $50,000 a year, they get excited about $500 million, but they don't play the lotto when it's like $25 million. Like $25 million isn't good enough for you.
I was just having that conversation with my dad, and I said, maybe it doesn't hurt to just randomly play the lottery because you're still winning like 25 or 15 or whatever it is. So what would you have to complain about? It would just be obnoxious if you won all that money. And yes, I did play like in a work pool, but I was honestly secretly like praying that we didn't win because I didn't want all that money. I couldn't handle like that's just
you're not making any sense. I'm sorry to cut you off, Macy, but number one, don't play if you don't want to win the money.
No, I do. But when it's at $1.5 billion, that's almost too much money.
Well, it is more of a pain than people think. People just think, oh, my life's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. No, that doesn't correct relationship issues. That doesn't correct a lot of things in life just because it's money. Number two, it is a pain because the first thing you think about all the people that are obviously your family and your really, really close friends that you would like to do something for, but then start to think beyond that to the next person, the next person, the next person. At what point do you stop? At what point do you make a decision and say, I'm not giving that person any money? And are they going to be really mad and pissed off? Because I was just thinking about that at work and thinking, how many of these people would I give money to? And then the person that I didn't to, they'd be like, are you kidding me? You just won $1.5 billion and you can't give me $10,000. That's nothing. Well, you got to stop at some point.
Yeah, they've actually been saying that winning the lottery, especially with that much money, is a curse. You
I
know,
don't think it's a curse. It's a
some people
curse
like,
for idiots. But yeah, there's a lot of stress involved. There's a lot of stress involved. Or potential stress. I don't believe in stress per se. I think people allow themselves to be stressed out. There are circumstances in life that present stress, and I think we have a little bit more power to either release it and do things to deflect it, or to kind of revel in that stress and make it worse. But yeah, there are high-level decisions to be made if you've got that much money. And do you hire a lawyer and tax person and consultant, and do you trust them and all that? Yeah.
yeah, like you said, where do you stop with family and friends? Where do you stop with, if I paid some of my cousins' tuitions, but not all of my cousins? I don't even know half of my cousins. So, there's just like so many different things where you say, where do I draw the line, or how much is enough, or this or that. And I just don't want to be put in that situation. If I won the lottery, I would honestly probably just go hide on an island somewhere and no one would ever see me again.
Well, I'd be hiding on islands during certain parts of my life. Yes, I don't think I go quite that far, but just think about how much money that is. $1 billion is a million 1,000 times, I think. That makes sense. Yeah. It's $1 million 1,000 times over. And yeah, and even people, and this is human nature, even people that you would give money to, if you gave somebody, okay, you're a really good friend, I'm going to give you fill in the blank, whatever it is, $20,000. $20,000. There would actually, I think money changes. I think if you're really grounded and you understand what money can do to people, then you guard against it changing you, but it has the potential and usually changes a lot of people.
Well, what's that saying? I forget who said it, but they always say like more money, more problems.
It's an amplifier. Yes, money.
One of the rappers always. Yeah, but it's totally true. I mean, think about just everything you'd have to deal with, and it's too much for me.
I do think if you're a good person with good intentions, I would give a ton of money away. I'm not saying I'm a good person, but that that kind of went together. But I really wasn't saying it that way. That money's an amplifier. So the money in good people's hands that have good intentions and are wise will do good things. A lot of good can come out of that money. You could feed a lot of people, house a lot of people. There's a ton that could be a ton of good, but then obviously we see the other effect where people just look at celebrities. How many celebrities are screwed up because fame and money go to their head and they are still not happy, and they get into drugs and all this other stuff, and they're not happy, and it can screw you up that way too.
Yeah, so I'm content with my life, I guess, right?
That's good. It's good to be content.
I mean, of course, you always want more, and it's natural to need and or want more. And if you didn't need or want more, then you wouldn't be hungry for success. But
you want to earn it.
Right. I'd rather earn it and say I worked for this, and instead of someone just handing it to me. I mean, if people gave me, some more money, sure. But I want to work for something, and I want to say I earned this, not just here you go.
I'm right there with you, Macy. Okay. For Macy Golder, this is Mark Rogers. This is our show, Mark and Macy. We all good, Macy?
We're all good. See you next week.
All right. Sounds good.